Racism right
Okay.
now.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we have a very special topic, a very special sort of circumstances. I'm here with my neighbors and my very good friends. To my left is Lady Alexandra. Lady Alexandra, you may know her from her ringing of the bell. She does a lot of the research for me. And over here is my upstairs neighbor, my very dear friend, John Thompson. This man, I tell you, I love this man so much. He is the best mechanic I have ever met in my life. This man is, I mean, the way he thinks, your mind is so fascinating. Because he'll work on my car. I pretend to work on the car and I can hand tools. I mean, I really don't really know what I'm doing. This man, he'll sit there and he'll go, okay, there's something going on. Okay, now wait a minute. Now I'm thinking about it this way. Okay.
Yeah.
And chess, let me tell you, this guy, I'm not that good either. She's really good. He beats both
You're
of us.
getting better.
Wait, she beat me once.
One time out of how many games?
That's okay. A win is a win.
No, actually, because you mentioned the car. He had the dream about the radiator.
This is very true. My friend John here he goes by Johnny on the Spot. He is so talented, and again, being psychic and clairvoyant, this is something that he does when it comes to mechanics. So we were dealing with a car. I drove it to Palm Springs. It overheated. Everything I thought was new, everything seemed to be in order. And he goes, oh, okay, stop the car. Don't drive it. Just get it towed back home. And we've started getting it back together now after a couple of months of it, sort of ruminating on it. When we started, Johnny, you had a dream.
I had a vision because I didn't understand why the car overheated like it did. It should not have done that, but then I realized and I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute now, this thing has been sitting. And then I just had this vision of the water's not flowing, And remember, I thought we had a new pump on there, but we didn't.
We didn't.
There was an old pump, but there was no leak, so that's probably why we never didn't change it. And you said it sat up, so I assumed, hey, if the car had sat up, it should be fine. But we didn't have a problem with that. But for some reason, my mind said, radiator. Because radiators plug up from the center, and if that car has been sitting and water is in there, it's brass or aluminum or whatever, it will rust, and rust will gather, basically close up all the channels so that the water can't flow. So that's what made me have the dream about the radiator. So now that's where we're at now.
And that's it. So today is actually John's birthday. And
thank you. I made it to the big 60.
He is 60 years old today, but I actually wanted to bring him on I'm just going to adjust this camera. I'm sorry, folks at home watching. I want to make certain that we can see everybody in the room. There we go.
Hello I see Louise and Irma.
So I really wanted to talk to my friend about something very special, and it's about things that are current in the news, and there are riots going on in Minneapolis, and the president is tweeting that these people who are rioting are thugs, and that I shared something on social media about how that I support these people, and someone decided that they were going to be snarky, and they wrote back and said, oh yeah? Well, was there looting during the Civil War? And I said, yes.
Yes, there was.
Yes, there was, because I find, now I am not a person of color. I have some family members who are. My mother's Cherokee, but I'm very passing as white. I'm not completely white, but I pass as white. And with that,
you won't get pulled over and get beat up.
And that's a thing.
Yeah.
I am not completely white, but I am white enough that I don't have to worry about walking down the street with Skittles in my pocket, or getting arrested, or asking a cop a question, and
Wearing a hoodie,
or playing my music too loudly, or going to church. And I wanted to hand over and let my friend John really sort of talk about what it's like, some things we may not know.
There's a lot of things. There's so many different topics you can touch on when it comes to racism. I mean, I'm no expert. I just know that I'm black. And I just know the things that I've gone through, you know, dealing with basically the law. Okay? I'm going to say the law because I don't want to say, you know, the white man or whatever, because there's a lot of white people out there that are good people. And I'm not going to just sit there and say that all white people are bad, this, and the other. But I have had some that have turned and done this and the other. But I think a lot of it has to do with fear. I think a lot of it has to do with, somebody once said to me, and I still hear this all the time, oh, those cops, they're white cops, they must have been beat up when they were a kid or something, and you know, so now they're taking it out on what they can, or blacks or whatever they can when they grow up. I don't know how true it is, I don't know how it works. I don't know. All I know is what I've gone through. I mean, I've gotten pulled over for simply just driving down the street one time in Pasadena. There's some cops that I don't even want to bring up their names because it's not necessary, but they were white. And I was just driving down the street and I was just eating some French fries. Like, this is a true story. I was just driving and up on a street called Fair Oaks and Woodbury and the Altadena Sheriff's Department. And as they drove by, I was going the opposite direction and I was eating French fries that I had just gotten from McDonald's. Okay, so, and then all of a sudden, the cop turns around, make a long story short, he turns around and he comes behind us and flicks on the lights. And it's me, I think it was me, a friend of mine, and his wife, and somebody else. So they pull us over, and then the guy immediately comes to me. And he says, what are you doing? What were you doing? What were you doing? Blowing kisses at me? This and that and the other. I'm like, what are you talking about? Basically, he grabbed me and he threw me on top of the car, threw me on the hood of the car, and he started manhandling me and this and that and the other. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? What is your problem? And he said, I saw you in the car. He said, when I drove by, you start blowing kisses at me. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. I said, first of all, look at these soup noodles here, okay? These right here now, they're mine. Okay, but I was eating French fries. Now, I don't know what he saw. Now, he might have saw me chewing on these French fries or whatever, but what I want to know is what was going through his mind to think that, and to just, and especially, and then I told him, I said, hey, I'm eating French fries. He didn't want to hear that. He just wanted a reason to keep on doing what he was doing. And he told me, he said, you know, that I could kill you if I wanted to. I could take you somewhere and beat you up, and they wouldn't do nothing to me. You know, he started ranting and raving about all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. What is this? You know, I didn't believe it.
Can I ask what year this was, if you remember? Or
oh my God, this was. I'm gonna say it was been about 10 years ago. This happened about 10 years ago.
So you were about 50 years old.
I was about 50 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, and I told him, and I did say that too. I said, you know what, man? I said, I'm an old man. I said, I don't have time for this. I said, I don't know what your problem is or why you're even acting like this towards me. You know, I said, but I knew that it was a black thing. I knew it was, you know. And I'm sorry that you feel like the way you do. It's okay, my man. You know, I don't blame you. I don't blame you,
Well, it
man.
really affects me.
But it's crazy. It's crazy what we go through like
because
that. You know?
I those of you at home, this man is my brother. I have not known such a kind person as this, and to think that I almost lost one of my best friends over something so stupid.
French fries, and that it was dumb. It was dumb, but you know, like I said, it's not a white and black thing. Sometimes the media portrays it that because, and I'm gonna tell you why that's done. This is my feeling. To me, I feel like that's one of the reasons I don't watch the news. They can make more money that way.
Yeah.
Well,
they make more money by making it a racial thing.
One of the things that
and it is, but it's not.
One of the things that I'm noticing right now, and we're talking about things that have happened, but I feel like we also need to talk about what we can do. We can do. And I was watching the videos and looking at the photos of some of the protests, and one of the things that I saw was this very powerful photograph. You had the cops, and you had the black protesters, and then you had a line of white protesters in front of them. And that's a thing that folks have been talking about for years. And it was actually really nice for me to see that being put into effect because they don't want to hit us. They don't want to pepper spray us.
No.
Because that makes them look bad.
Yeah.
But if we can get in the middle.
Well, and this reminds me, you know, on the topic of destruction of property and looting, and we as American citizens have rights now that we would not have had it not been for the Boston Tea Party. They said, hey, you over there, we don't like this behavior, so we're going to actually rob this boat and throw your product into the sea. You tax that now. The Civil War that this person brought up on my Facebook, many plantations were rightfully destroyed during and after the Civil War because it was a symbol of oppression, it was a symbol of hatred, it was a symbol of ignorance, and it wasn't just people of color who were looting. It was a lot of times it was the Northerners who were coming in and going, oh, I like this place, it's mine. And then what personally affects me is the Stonewall riots in 1969. Now, as I mentioned before we went on air, there was the Mattachine Society in the 1950s, and it was a group of white people who decided, we're going to show them that we're no threat. We're going to show them that we're exactly the same, that they don't have to worry about us. And women were instructed to wear dresses, and men had to wear suits, and there was no shouting, and there was no screaming, and there was all polite behavior. And you know where they ended up? Nothing. Nothing happened. Until 1969, when the cops came in and raided a gay bar, and a transgender black woman, a powerful black woman, stood up and said,
Marsha.
no, Marcia is her name. No, you do not get to control me any longer. I am not going to sit here and allow you to take it. And when Marcia stood up, it empowered other people of the GSM community, the LGBTQ plus community. And they said, hey, Marcia's right. We have to stand up for ourselves. And there was looting, and there was destruction, and there were fires that were set. And now, as an out gay man, I can stand here and I can publicly announce to however many of you are watching or watching in the future, I can announce, I am a gay man. I don't have to worry about being arrested because someone stood up.
For your rights, yeah. Well, you know, and that's weird that how we put such titles on everything when it comes to people. Okay. Bottom line is this. Okay, yeah, you're a gay man. I'm not a gay man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a gay man. What are you? Are you lesbian or are you a straight woman? Or what? I mean, the reason I'm asking, and I'm not trying to put any pressure on anybody.
No, that's fine.
Because I'm getting ready to say something that should blow your mind, and people should understand what I'm trying to say is. When I see this man, I don't see him as a gay person. I don't look for his gay thing or whatever. I don't look for a lesbian thing. He doesn't look for my black thing or whatever. He doesn't approach me with that. You know what I'm saying? I see him as a person, a person, a person. I see this man as my friend. I see her as my friend. They see me as their friend. This is the way they treat me. And that's the way everybody should look. Because if you think about it, there is not one family on this earth, one family, that doesn't have somebody in their family that's gay, that doesn't have somebody in their family that's black. There's not one that doesn't have these different entities in their families. You know what I'm saying? But people have a tendency to focus on that titles or titles. Once you start focusing on titles, you forget about people. And people are people no matter what they do in their life. If you want to do something in the privacy of your own home, that's your damn business. It's not me. It's not mine. It's not my business. What I do is my business. What she does is her business. What we need to realize and understand is everybody has their own secret privacies. And that's what they are, privacies, okay? There's things that people need to understand as far as like, say I find out somewhere down the line that he's related through me, through an uncle or a cousin or something like that. You see
And
what
it's
I'm saying?
very possible.
And it's very possible.
I have cousins.
First of
How
all,
many cousins do you have?
I have a lot.
I have white people in my family.
I have a very old
Deep
family.
back, way back. I've
And-
seen some pictures. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
no.
But I have pictures from my family, and we're Whitlows. Okay, I might as well let that be known. I'm a Thompson, but my super roots that I really identify with is Whitlow. And Whitlows are huge. Okay, if you look up the history of the Whitlow family, you know, they're like, what was those, the Hatfields and the McCoys? Well, the Whitlows were one of those. We go back, way back, okay? So, and there was white, there was Indian, we have Indian, you know what I'm saying? And black, and we might even have some Chinese and some Mexican and whatever, you don't know. You don't know. But the bottom line is, if you are a believer in the evolution of man or where man come from, we all come from one place. What was it, Adam and Eve or whatever?
Well,
but I'm just saying,
not
you know, what
even
they,
if
what
you
they
do
wanna
Adam
say.
and Eve, but it is believed that we all came from the cradle of life
The cradle
in
of life.
Mesopotamia, Babylonia,
Yes.
in the center of
Right.
the portion of Africa
Of
near
Africa.
So we are all, and if you cut any of us, we all bleed
We
the
all
same
bleed
color.
the same color.
We
There
are
is
all genetically people. We are all
genetic, and you know, and I'm gonna give you the perfect proof of that. Albinos. The perfect proof of that is albinos. And two black people, man and woman, can be blacker than charcoal. They can produce a white baby.
well, and that
And that's crazy because it does happen. And I don't know if you guys remember, there was a story, you would have to look the facts up for me to find it. Because that's, you know, that's what we do here, you know what I'm saying? But there was a movie and they said that, you know, that only black people can produce white babies. Well, that's not true. That's not true because there was a movie out a few years ago. And I remember this young lady. She was born completely black, but she came from a white couple.
Yeah.
She was, but her mother and father were white. So it was one of those rare cases. Rare.
my mother is
But-
a Native American,
Yeah.
Native and Dutch. So my mother is Cherokee and Dutch. But when you met her just briefly, but
Yeah.
and now my mother is 81 years old, so she doesn't. But before, if you would have met her 50 years ago, she had long black hair and high cheekbones and an olive skin. And when she goes out in the sun, even just any amount of exposure, she's brown, very brown.
The
And
mother kicks into her body.
So my father is of Swedish, French, and English ancestry. So my father, blonde hair, blue-eyed, and my sister, blonde hair, blue-eyed baby.
Right.
And so my mother and father spent a lot of time in Texas, and these Latina women would come up to my mother, speaking in Spanish. My mother knew a little bit, and they would ask her, "Where'd you get that baby? Whose baby is that? Whose white baby did you steal?" And she goes, "This is my daughter." No, because you have that dark. No.
Right. They wanna do that. Well, you know what they say here. You are not the father. But we know that that's not always true because even on that show I've seen crazy stuff where the baby looked nothing like the father, nothing like the mother, but genetically through the genes or whatever, through science,
Well,
proven
and
that it was.
that's the thing that we were talking about earlier. And John, you and I were talking about this actually on the way to the shop the other day. The concept of white passing.
Oh yeah.
Because somebody I know who is white passing, I'm gonna name any names, but he is white passing, and he is a Trumper, and he is very racist. And I sit there and I go, but you're blah, 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 blah. But he doesn't care because he's white passing. And it's so baffling to me. But there are some people who try to do that. But I feel like we should also be able to use that intentionally, because if you are white passing, then you can stand up and say, hey, pay attention to me. You pay attention to me, and then you can toss that power and toss that attention to somebody else.
I kind of remember a few years ago, I was on America's Next Top Model years ago as the MC, and I remember Tyra Banks. Oh, quite all right. Live television, ladies and gentlemen.
We're doing a live broadcast. Let me call you right back. I'll call you right back, okay?
Birthday greetings.
Thank you. Yeah, people calling me for my birthday.
So I was on. I became acquainted with Tyra, and I started watching her show, the Tyra Banks show, where she would interview. And if memory serves, she did this experiment where she dresses up in full prosthetics as a white man, and then she went the opposite as a darker, black-skinned person. And the treatment was absolutely
Totally different.
Totally different.
Totally different.
And all of it was Tyra Banks.
Yeah.
This beautiful, supermodel,
Yes.
rich,
Yes.
charming, wonderful individual. I love Tyra Banks.
Yes, she's not the only one that's done that. But yes, but I do remember that, and it was quite. For me, if I was a white person, I would have been embarrassed
Absolutely.
by what I saw. You know what I'm saying? You know, but I'm going to take that back and say, as a human, I'm embarrassed for what I saw, because like I said, I don't try to judge anybody. I judge you as how you treat me. That's how I treat you. That's the way it should be.
I agree.
That's the way it should always be. But a lot of that comes down to, like I said, money, and that's green. It's the green that turns all these different things like that. You know what I'm saying? It's what it is. Since you mentioned how people like to, what's the word I'm looking for? Pass. There was a movie from 1958, 1959 that people should watch today, and a lot of people have never probably heard of this movie. And I think all people of color should watch this movie, and it's called The Imitation of Life. And I don't know if you ever heard this movie, but it's the story, and they portrayed it like it was the story of Aunt Jemima, the Pancake Queen. Basically, I'm gonna give you a quick short scenario. She was she started out as a maid trying to find a job. Goes to a lady's house, white lady. She needs help. She has a kid. She's a single white lady. She's a single black woman. She has a kid. Basically, they ended up coming together, and she ended up working for her. You know, this is 1959, so you know that there was that type of thing going on. Okay, and it still goes on today, but now it's nothing. It's a job now. But back then, that was the only jobs that were really put out there like that. But basically, she had a daughter, the black lady, Aunt Jemima. The daughter was almost pure white, and she wanted to pass. She would go to schools, and she would pass as a white girl. And then her mom would actually come to her job looking for her child, and people would tell her, "Your daughter is not here. There's no way that your daughter is here." And she would say stuff like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I thought she was in this class." Looked around, and that was her daughter right there. And the little girl couldn't take it. And then so she would walk out of the class and stuff like that and run home. And basically what it came down to is she ended up hating her mother. Not because she was her mother, because she was a good mom. She was a great mom, but because of the color of her skin.
Yeah.
She couldn't believe that this woman that was so dark put me out, birthed me. And she could not get past because she's seen all of the things that she could get as a white person. All the golds, the riches, and all that kind of stuff came to her. And the crazy part about it was the white woman that they ended up working for, they all became filthy, filthy rich. But by this time, this hatred of her own skin had already set in. So the money didn't matter anymore. Now she just did not realize who she was until her mom passed away at the end of the movie. So if you get a chance, you really need to watch this movie, because the first time I saw, my mother made me watch this movie. You know what I'm saying? And my mother was a great woman, and I have to give out the shot. Mary Alma Jackson, I love you, but she's no longer here. That's my mom. And
I think she's here sometimes.
well, yeah, she's here spiritually. She's definitely here, because I will never forget nobody. If you met, my mother would love you and you. My mother would love you because she was the kind of person that would take you in. But basically, back to what I was trying to say, she made us watch that movie, and I think some of the things that my mother did for me is what made me realize that there's more to the world than black and white. You know what I'm saying? You have to go out and you have to treat people the way you want to be treated, no matter what the consequences that comes out of it. If I see you, the first thing is I'm not going to approach you as a white person or a black person. I'm going to approach you with, "Hello, how are you? How is your day?" That's the way it should be done. Now, once I get to know you, if we end up being cool with each other and loving each other and liking how we kick each other, fine. But if I see that you have this hatred in your heart for me for just being brown or black or whatever, then I know I still, you know what I do? I still wish you well. I wish you the best. But I ain't got nothing else to do with you. Nothing.
I'm reminded of a story that you recently brought to my attention. One of my favorite singers, through what the greatest jazz vocalist in the world.
Ella.
This woman,
Which one?
they would tune. She would come in and they would say, sing a middle C. They would pitch perfect. They would tune their orchestra to this woman.
Right.
Lady Ella Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald.
I love
Yeah.
Ella Fitzgerald. What
Ella
a
Fitz.
beautiful, clear, pristine voice. This woman was so powerful, and yet, why don't you finish the story?
Oh. Well, Ella was amazing,
Yeah, she was. She was.
Oh,
but particularly early on, she had the perfect voice,
pitch
perfect
perfect.
voice, but she was having a harder time getting gigs, and she was playing these little small jazz clubs. But she got lucky. She got a really big fan, a lady by the name of Marilyn Monroe.
Yes. Yes.
So Ella was trying, I forget the name of the club, but she was trying to get a gig at this club in, I think here in LA,
I think it was Los Angeles.
and they wouldn't take her.
And it wasn't that. It wasn't. It was partially because she was over. It was partially because she was black. It was partially because she was overweight. Because they had done, wasn't it, Eartha
remember
Kitt
that story.
too, or
Yeah, they'd had a couple of
they had had a couple of other women of color to perform in the clubs, but not only was Ella Fitzgerald was she black, she was also overweight.
Yes. Yes.
So that's another topic. But
Yes.
No. Basically, Marilyn Monroe talked to the owners of this club and said, "You book her, and I will be in the front row every night, and I'll bring other celebrities." And I think she brought like Judy Garland and
Yes.
somebody else the
I
first
remember this
night.
story.
And she kept her word, and she was there the entire run that Ella was there. And after that, Ella didn't have any, well, I shouldn't say any, but she didn't have as many problems getting bookings.
Right.
But it goes on. At one point, a couple years after the fact, Monroe goes and happens to catch Ella in another city. And when she goes up to this club, she finds out that their headliner, as you always call her, Lady Ella Fitzgerald,
Yes.
is being forced to go in through a side door
side
because
door.
they don't want the big black woman to walk in through the front door. And Marilyn Monroe stands outside and goes, "You don't let her in? I'm not walking in your front door unless I can walk in with her."
Yep.
And that's always the thing that I really enjoyed, knowing that about Marilyn, knowing that about Ella, and just having some historical context to things we
You know,
can do.
That's crazy that you. I don't mean to downplay it a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna upplay it by saying this. By saying this because you put emphasis on Marilyn Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing here is not Marilyn Monroe. The thing of it is she was a white woman.
Well, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
And she used that.
Yeah, right. But she showed that she had class, that she had a different thing, that she was for people. You see what I'm saying? It was about a people thing for her. It was not about who I am. You see what I'm saying? But it was at the same time. But that shows me that that's one of the reasons why I say I don't judge all white people just because of the color of their skin. Not all
Right.
white people are not the white devils that they try to say. And that is, to me, I'm going to straight out, and that's bullshit. Okay? It's not that way. And that kind of story kind of happened the same way with another group. And people don't realize that James Brown,
oh, James Brown.
James Brown was one of the reasons that the Beatles became famous.
Oh yes.
James Brown was one of the ones that when they did finally hear the Beatles' name, first thing that came out of Paul McCartney's mouth, and they said, "Well, who are some of the people that you listen to?" The first name that came out of his mouth, James Brown. And that's what kind of helped James Brown's career as well.
Well, it's,
Because he said, it's James Brown. You listen to James Brown. You know, like,
now, one of the things that you said, though, and I do want to touch on it, On the one hand, absolutely true, but I see this used as an excuse a lot. I'll see or I'll hear, not all white people.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely true. But trying to bring it back around to
Come on.
accountability.
Come on, yes, come on with it.
Because people use that as a shield, and you can't hide behind that. We cannot hide behind that shield.
Yeah.
You have to take accountability.
Well, and this goes into religion too. I get a lot of people saying, not all Christians, and I go, I never said all Christians. I said these people who happen to be Christian.
Right.
And
That's
so
different.
what the difference is that when these atrocities happen, yes, it's not all white people. Yes, it's not all black people. Yes, it's not all Christians. Yes, it's not all Muslims. But people who are in these groups need to say, hey, that is wrong.
Yes.
We don't claim that. That is wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And you can believe it or not, no matter how much we sit here and explain this today, there are still people that are going to judge us,
Oh, yeah.
and they're going to say, those people, they're wrong, or, you know, and look, he's hanging, there's going to be people that say, he's hanging out with a black man, you know what I'm saying? And then that black man is hanging out with a gay man, you know what I'm saying? And then that gay man is hanging out with that girl who's over there with that. Is she afraid of the black man? Because, you know, doesn't he want to go and rape her and this and that and the other?
Oh, and
You know, all that kind of stuff comes into fact, you know, and it's crazy.
on that topic, you brought something up that I think is really interesting. So I'm the research nerd, by the way.
Facebook, she does it all my Facebook. I know nothing about it.
So part of the problem that we run into is stereotypes beget stereotypes.
Oh,
The black man coming after the white woman, that's a terrible fucking stereotype. And as we saw recently with somebody who I'm not going to give her the privilege of naming, on the police, on the phone, trying to use that privilege of being a white woman.
Oh, that was just on the
Exactly.
day. She got fired.
Oh, she got fired and her dog got repossessed or
Repossessed
whatever.
and taken away from
So good for
for-
that.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was so glad to see that. But that's not the first time that happened. I saw that.
Oh
I
no,
saw
that
that.
happened a lot.
And I was like, look at this lady. Is she really, I mean, where's her kind of knowledge to see that this man is filming her to show that everything she's saying and yelling about is not true? Now, if it hadn't been for that film or that video and say some other people, some other bad cops.
that is why I am
let's
so-
say bad cops pulled up. He would have been in terrible trouble.
Terrible. And that's why I say to you at home, we truly live in the greatest time. Yes, we are in quarantine. That word, which they'll demonetize if I say it. I can't say it. I can't say it. Yes. Yes, we have an idiot in the White House who is a racist and a buffoon and a clown and a selfish and a fake and for all of these things.
All that.
Yes, there are things that are happening in this world. Yes, all of our finances have taken a loss. I know mine have. I understand this. But I will tell you, and I emphatically, as much as I love history, as much as I love antiques, as much as I love these things, we truly live in the greatest time ever.
Yeah.
I forget who said it, and if anybody knows or remembers, please pop it in the comments and I'll give it that credit. But somebody recently said, it's not that racism is getting worse, it's that racism is getting recorded. And I feel, well, but that's just it, because we sit here and now it's in the news, it's in the news, it's in the news. And yes, it needs to be in the news, and yes, we need to be angry.
About it. And
But they're not winning. It's just we're recording it more.
We're recording it.
we're recording it.
And we need to.
And we need to let it be known that it is a destructive tool that is being used by the powers that be. Because like I said, there's a lot of people up there, and I hate to say it, that are white, that just refuse and don't want to see us on the same level. Because first, I don't know why they're afraid of us, or why white powers are afraid of black powers, excuse me, becoming, you know, an equal ball playing field, especially in America. In America, the greatest country in the freaking world. I love this place. Shit, wait a minute, hold up. I can't do it standing up, but I salute this country because I love this country. I was born here in America. I'm not going back to Africa because I don't know shit about it. Okay? It's where my ancestors come from, and I love my country. I love Africa because this is where we come from. This is where we all come from, if you really think about it. But I love the United States. I'm a United States citizen, born and raised here, okay? Would give anybody the time of day to ask anything about this country. I'm here to do it. But
I think we're getting a little
I'm
off
sorry,
topic.
but that's okay. No, we're not. We're not. I'm just just trying to ease up the tension because the subject that we're talking about is a very serious subject.
It's a very serious subject.
But it's something that should be trained in another way. Because if I let me finish this thought. Why should you be afraid of me or I be afraid of you if we come up with an idea that makes us all rich, that makes us all gain? I understand competition. That's competition to try to be there before someone or to try to get as much as you can. I understand that. I do understand that. So I don't knock that. I don't knock competition. But when in the hell does making money become a black and white issue? When does that happen? Why does that happen? It's greed.
It's that green again.
It's that green again. Perfect example. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Sears used to be Sears and Roebuck. You remember that, right?
Oh, before my
Sears
time.
and they were.
I remember Sears and Roebuck.
Sears and Roebuck. Sears
Catalogs
and
like
Roebuck.
this. Oh.
Catalogs like that. Sears and Roebuck. The name Sears and Roebuck were together like that. Somewhere down the line, Sears. Now, when this company was started, now this is a little bit of history. I may not have all the facts right, but I can tell you for a fact. Sears didn't have the money. Roebuck had the money. Sears had signature, credit, and a name. He said, let's put this money together and open up a little hardware store, a little miniature store, whatever. It worked for a long time. Somewhere down the line, if you've seen it, it became Sears and Roebuck, Sears and Roebuck, Sears, Roebuck, Sears, Roebuck. Roebuck's name became like the small print.
Right. Sears and Roebuck.
Sears and Roebuck. Somewhere down the line, because Roebuck, back then, you're black, and he was growing up in a time to where, a lot of blacks didn't really have the education because they were not really allowed to have it. That's how old Sears is. You see what I'm saying? So, and then eventually, his name disappeared. And his name was no longer there. But it started out together. So why did it even have to go? Because when it was Sears and Roebuck, I used to love going to Sears and Roebuck, especially when they had the popcorn machines in there and the candy pots and all that. So what happened? Somebody got greedy.
Greed.
And things like that happens all the time.
Well, and part of what made the United States the superpower that it is was institutionalized racism from the very beginning.
Yes.
And then there were once people of color started being allowed.
Ain't that fucked up? Excuse my French, but yes, allowed. We are allowed.
When they started to being allowed to be people, then they came through and went, oh, this is the line. You can have that section of town where you're all crowded together. You can't come over here. Yeah. And then when people started venturing out, there's in fact, Raisin in the Sun is.
Love that.
I love that movie. And then there is a sequel that was written, which is called oh goodness, I can't remember. But Raisin in the Sun takes place in a white neighborhood in 1959 after this white family, they sell their house because their son kills himself. He went away to World War II and he couldn't handle it anymore and he kills himself. They sell the house to a black family. And then in the sequel, and I wish I could remember the name of it, but in this sequel it takes place from 1960 and then 50 years later. And so the neighborhood goes through this shift and then it goes back into this revitalization. It's mind-boggling how systemic racism has allowed people to say, okay, you go over there. And then and then they get angry when people are protesting and they go in and they loot a store that's insured. They're saying, hey, I have rights. See me, hear me, I'm a human, see me. And they're upset because someone stole some fruit or a pair of shoes or broke a glass window. It's all insured.
Yeah.
It's insured.
Right. So all you basically done is you made that person that much more rich because they're going to get a huge check. And not even probably a third of that check will go to rebuild if they choose to. Or if they don't choose to, then you've just made them rich and they move on and open up somewhere else. At
And
a
I'm
lesser
not.
cost.
I'm not saying it's
it's
a great
right,
idea
right.
to loot. I'm
It's
not
not
saying
saying
it's a
right.
good idea. I'm not a proponent. But however, if destruction of property is what it takes to get people to say, "Oh, there's a problem," then destroy it if it has to be.
But the crazy part about that is like we don't want to see our neighborhoods jacked up.
No,
destroyed. We
no,
don't. That's not
no,
it's
no.
not what we want, and it is a shame that I have to say we. It's what we want. Like I have to, like you said, the separation is there, and I hate to say that because no black person wants to see their neighborhood destroyed, their stores. We don't have any of those things. First of all, the only thing we have is something that keeps us delusional: our liquor stores. We have bunches of liquor stores in our neighborhood. There's not a bunch of retailers, there's not a lot of retailers in our stores to give us the opportunities to go and get employments with all this type of things.
And
So, but we can go to the liquor store, and the crazy part about the liquor store is that money from the liquor store does not even put back into our community. It's owned by probably a Chinese man or somebody, and that money goes away. Not back to us. So there's nothing we really gain there.
And one of the things we also have to think about, and I do remind me to come back to Chinese. One of the other things is we talk about, trying to improve neighborhoods, but gentrification is also a huge deal. If you're sitting there, and we're in one of the outskirts of Los Angeles, we're in Pasadena, it's still LA County. The prices here are astronomical.
Yeah.
And so then, if you're getting to the point where, we want to make it nicer, but what we're also doing is we're taking away people's ability to live there for a reasonable budget. You're forcing people out, you're forcing the history of the place out, and then it gets bulldozed and turns into a Walmart shopping lot or whatever.
Yes, or parking lot.
But
where there used to be homes.
I also did briefly want to talk about, because you mentioned Chinese, and
Not putting
So-
them down because
No.
I love them too. Give you the
I
big
work
thumb.
at a shop, and I was watching people. I'm a huge people watcher, and right before everything shut down, I started to notice something, and I read about it, so I was watching for it. But I started to notice early March before things shut down, anytime we had a Chinese customer in, everybody else backed away.
Oh, because of
And that pissed me off, because I'm sitting here going, I don't know where you're
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh.
During World War II, the Japanese were turned into internment camps
Yeah.
because someone dropped a bomb on Pearl Harbor, and so people who were born in this country, who were flesh and blood American citizens, were then put in concentration camps because they were of Japanese descent.
Yeah, and so now we've got people, and people were even getting beaten for being Asian. Some of them not even Chinese, just Asian, because, you gave us the corona.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
You know what?
You can't say that because they'll demonetize. Don't say the C word. Don't
How
say that.
Do we really care about
I
this video?
I do.
Well,
Don't say
I
say
know
the
what he's
C
trying to
word.
say.
Don't
He's
say it.
trying to
Oh, for God's sake.
just say C-19.
Yeah, you can say that. Don't
Just
don't
say
say that.
C-19.
Don't say.
We'll just
They're
say
very
C-19.
particular about
Yeah,
those.
the C word.
Anyway,
And it's crazy because and now they're trying, over in Asia, they're trying to turn it around now because they just recently had the thing to where they were beating the blacks over.
Oh
in
yeah,
I
I
didn't hear
saw
about
that.
that, tell me.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're beating all
Because it was the-
African Americans over in China.
people of
now.
color. Yeah,
Oh, people of color are
Over
being
that.
beat down over there now.
and they have signs that read like
saying that they're all criminals and that they're.
we don't allow you here and all
I
kinds
don't
of.
understand this world is just.
Well,
it's
and
just, it's crazy.
I
right
want
now.
to say this. We are reaching what, an hour now? Are we? I don't even know where we are. About 45
Bella
minutes.
says that the quote about racism being recorded was Will Smith.
Okay, that could be.
You know what? Yeah, okay.
That makes sense.
Hey, Will, what's
Out
up?
of
I know.
respect.
Give us a call, baby.
Actually, Will Smith, if you ever catch this, you raised a hell of a daughter. I love her.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you did get to meet Jada, right?
I didn't know who she was, and so I had like this long conversation about just like media and movies and stuff. And then afterwards, my coworker was like, "That was Jada. That was Will Smith's daughter." And I'm like, "Well, you know what? She was a smart kid."
So
Yes,
as we're
he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Very smart man. I mean, I give him so much credit, and I love your show. I love his shows, his movies. I love everything about him. It's all he's good.
as we are nearing an hour, is there anything else we needed to conclude with?
Oh, did want to point out, doesn't he also have a gender non-conforming child?
He certainly does. Will is. I'm so glad that he improved as an actor, because in those early days he was terrible. And I used to watch the show, and then now as an adult, I go back and I go, Will Smith is a terrible actor in The Fresh Prince.
Well, but you know, actually, I have to disagree with you, and not because he's black, but because he was more. To me, he was not so much of an actor as he was a comedian.
He was a
He
comedian.
was more comedic. to
Well,
me.
and you know what? Watching the show now,
than anything.
he had to learn the script, and he would learn the entire script
Yeah.
instead of this is my line. This is, and so he would go. You'd be saying your line, and he's over here going, mouthing the exact words,
I've seen that a couple times. I can't lie.
and you're going,
I've seen
oh,
that.
Will, that's not your line.
Right, exactly. But you know what?
He did improve.
But
He's very
a
good.
lot. I mean, if you think about it,
he worked hard.
he worked hard at it. But if you think about it, by having to remember each and every one else's line, that's probably one of the things that made him better.
Sure,
You know what I'm saying?
sure.
That's one of the
I'm
things
just
that-
glad to see he has improved, because he's really now. I really enjoy him. I mean, I had a big crush on him way back
Here we go.
back
Here
in
we-
the day,
Amen.
but now I really like
love
him
it.
as an actor.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to add as we round up?
Well, you know, recently, I don't even know if we touched. I don't even
We
remember.
really didn't
But
talk
we
about
didn't-
the thing going on right
the
now.
thing that's going
Do we
on
want
right
to?
now about the cop that killed a man by putting his knee in the back of the man's neck, and this is some of the things that has sparked all of these riots
Sure.
and things. And it's not the first thing. It's not. It's really not. And another thing I would like to also say. They say they're trying to revive. To me, it's like they're trying to revive the Black Lives Matter thing. And don't take this the wrong way. I love that, but it's not that Black Lives Matter. All lives matter, including blacks, including whites, including anybody. Because put it like this: during these riots and things and this and the other, say you got caught up in just like that. What was the guy that got hit in the head with a brick? When they had the riots back, Rodney King riots.
Oh, right.
Everybody's lives matter, because to me, he shouldn't have gotten beat down like that.
No, absolutely
Just
not.
because he was white, he shouldn't have gotten beaten down like that. If you were to get caught up in this, you should not be hurt or harmed because of something that this one man did. Okay? So all lives matter. Black lives matter. White lives matter. And I'm not trying to put any emphasis on anything. So anybody out there that, shame on you if you do try to do it. I'm just trying to simply say that things need to be done to stop all this BS that we got going on right now in this life. Music is one good thing.
Music.
Find you some good music and
Music.
do the damn thing. Listen, because musicians are the greatest thing to prevent racism in the world, because I have not yet met
He's
a musician.
also, by the way, Not only is he a brilliant mechanic, not only is he brilliant at chess, this man is also a musician.
Yes, I do write music.
And he writes music, he sings music,
Yes.
he is a DJ, and
Yes,
he
I'm a
puts
DJ.
things together.
Yes.
I mean, music
Calculating
is...
through learn to calculate things, not color. That's what we should do. Learn to calculate things. Somebody should write that. Somebody write that down and then send me a
you
check.
can
Send me a check. Learn to calculate things, not color. And if you did that, everybody would be a lot happier. Now, the ones that don't calculate anything, no matter what color they are, then yes, they should be poor, broke, and lonely, or whatever. But I'm not saying that they should be poor, black, and lonely, poor, white, and lonely. Use your head, use your mind. Calculate things, not color. Well, I like that. I don't know where that came from.
from the universe, from the
universe.
ether.
Yes, but we should do that. And if I hear somebody out there using that line, send me a check.
Send me the check.
Send me a check. I won't be
Request
mad. Request payment because it's all good. It's a line. And you've heard it first right here on the Gentleman Psychic Show. You know what I'm saying? And it's all gravy. But back to what I was saying here. That man, another thing that they need to do that we have not talked on, cops that go out and commit bodily harm to anyone should be prosecuted.
Absolutely.
Should be instantly
Absolutely.
put in jail.
Absolutely.
Should be held accountable
Because they should
as
know-
a man. Because
They should know better.
they're supposed to know better. Now check this out. The reason, one of the things is the reason they should be prosecuted as a human, because you say the law, no one is above the law. So once they take that suit off, what are they? They're humans. They're a man, they're a woman, just like me, just like you. They're the same thing. They need to be prosecuted and treated as such. That's what people should do.
They
Do you
have
know-
arrested that cop, and
They have
I am
arrested-
grateful
Yes.
for
and
that.
I'm grateful for that too. I just wanted to give you another fact. They need to start retraining a lot of these law enforcement officers. I found a fact, an interesting fact that blew my mind. And I want everyone to know what this fact is. Did you know that it takes 3 years, that I was told, now I don't know if this is correct or true, it takes 1 to 3 years to get a certificate in beautician. It takes 6 months
be a
to
cop.
become a cop.
Yeah.
Come on, what is that?
And I wanted
So you're
to,
telling me that hair is more important, hair that burns off, grows back, just as beautiful, girl stuff like that. But how can you put so little emphasis on something like that, to train to say that this is how we deal with people? So it sounds to me like you're just making an ignorant force.
Now, one of the things that I learned in my research is the man who killed this most recent gentleman, George, he had several complaints. He had
Against him.
shot
He had
a
against
Native American man and killed him in the past. It wasn't even a case of one guy made a mistake.
Yeah.
This
And-
is a person who has gone over and over
He
again.
He was seen
and been
on social
protected.
media. He was seen at a Trump rally, and he was also on social media wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat, and then he had a berry and he had it up to the camera, and the caption said, "The darker the berry, the browner the juice," while wearing this MAGA hat. This was premeditated. It was murder. It was homicide.
It was homicide. It was
And
murder.
this George who said, "Stop, I can't breathe."
Which, shout out to, regrettably, Eric Garner. The first one that made big news with "I Can't Breathe," that was in 2014. That was 6 years ago. 6 years we've been dealing with just that.
Just-
If
to put
someone
things in
says,
perspective.
"I can't breathe," they can't breathe.
oh no,
Get off their neck. Get off their body.
But now there was one episode I was watching, because I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube and a lot of these different things. There was an incident where a cop was on a guy's chest, and the guy, you know, he was saying that he couldn't breathe, and instead of the cop trying to, and the guy was not resisting, he was just letting him know, man, you're on my chest and I can't breathe. And you know what the cop said? He said, well, if you couldn't breathe, you couldn't say that. That was his response. That was his response. You know what I'm saying? And so, in other words, it was an excuse to be smart ass. You know, during something that was very serious.
And mocking George, there was a slew of cops that had T-shirts that read, "I can breathe."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the protests.
That's crazy. So in other words, I can kill you.
It's so disheartening. It is so disheartening. But that is not the purpose of our dialogue today. Our purpose is not to dishearten. Our purpose is to energize us as a people.
Yeah.
Our purpose is to say, this is my brother, this is my sister. I don't care what color you are. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care who you know. I don't care. Wouldn't it be wonderful, to quote Willy Wonka, to live in a world that wasn't colorblind on one hand?
Right.
Because he talks about, you want to be colorblind this way, but he's talking about when it's Willy Wonka. I love Willy Wonka.
Right. The chocolate factory.
He's talking about the chocolate factory. He says, my childhood was much like yours, and I hope that when you come in, I'm paraphrasing, that you see a world that isn't colorblind, that they're not afraid of all of the colors.
That's a really good thing. I remember growing up, white girl in the suburbs, oh, you should be colorblind, you should be colorblind, you should be colorblind. No, you should see everything.
See everything.
Welcome everything.
Because it's exciting, and different people bring different things, and they bring different cultures, and they bring different dishes. Oh my God, also this man is...
We're getting food tonight, by the way.
Because it's Johnny's birthday.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I don't want to live in a world, I don't want to live in a world where I walking down the street, and just because you're a white lady or a white woman and you see me and I'm not even thinking about you, and then all of a sudden you want to clutch your purse and thinking that I'm going to snatch it. Well, you should be thinking about that, because if you're stupid and you got your purse wide open, anybody can reach in there or snatch your purse.
I can't tell you how many times when I was performing that people would walk up with leave their handbags on their prams, and I'm going, put that away, put it away, close your handbag. You're on Hollywood Boulevard, stop it.
Stop doing that kind of stuff.
Now,
stop, that's crazy.
Another interesting one, this happened a long time ago, and Johnny got furious about this. Do you remember when we were in the grocery store, and he and I walked in, and you walked in a little bit behind?
Oh, yeah. Let me tell this story. Let me tell you this story. Okay. We were going to the store, okay. They walked in together. Now, you see how I'm dressed right now. This is me. I'm not, I'm just playing, I'm playing Jane.
No.
I'm playing Johnny. No, I mean, as far as my dress goes.
This is Johnny.
But do you see how he dresses? This man, fabulous. I have people that come from prison. They say, man, this dude is fabulous. And these black guys, these is dudes that are ex-killers and all that kind of stuff. And they see him and they got respect for him. But anyway, what was I talking about? The store. Here we go. Anyway, these two, and we're together. But they just happened, she was decked out too, and I think it was a spider, something like this. But they looked like they would belong together. And I hate to say it, and this dude was an Oriental dude. They walked in front of me, and I was behind them, and the Oriental dude was between them, me, and there, and he was in the middle. And then I hear him, he goes, damn weirdos. I said, they weird, huh? He said, yeah, they're weirdos, huh? I said, you weird too? And then I said, wait a minute, excuse me. I said, everybody, there goes some weirdos in the store. There's a weirdo, there's a weirdo. And I did that. I goes through the whole store. I said, you know what? That man, I looked at him, I'm like, they're weirdos. I said, and then he seen us walking together, and he was like, oh shit, they're together. So I just started saying, we're looking for the weirdos in the store. And I kept saying, oh, there he is, that's that Chinese guy right there. He's a weirdo. And, I just basically, I did it throughout the store to let him know. You just cannot automatically just assume that people are this and that and the other. Because first of all, if you think about it, the way he's dressing now is the way that people dressed every day in suits.
Well, and you know, that brings up a great point too,
Yeah.
because I noticed this a lot.
We changed to t-shirts and jeans. And
Well, I
company
tell
and
you, people, Latinos oftentimes will go, and Asians will go, and white people go,
Mm-hmm.
But I see a lot of people of color, and they go, that is
Fabulous.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
And part of, because I'm very 1930s, I'm a 1930s cartoon villain,
Yes,
I am.
yes.
But in the 1930s, that was really at the precipice when jazz music, it was a black music
'Cause we
was
saw
coming
it.
in, and these things, and this is how you dressed in the 30s. If you were rich in the 30s, you dressed like this. And that was when people of color started going, wow, this is nice. And that's where in the hip hop world, by the way, that lamp comes from, what was the name of that show? The Get Down. So I've got some pieces here from the Get Down.
Right.
And I've got a medallion, I've got this lamp, I've got a
Right.
rug, all from the set of the Get Down. And people say, well, hip hop and you, it's kind of, and I went, no, actually it really fits. Because now when you look at hip hop, what do? They're flashing the cash. They've got the fur collars, they've got the diamond rings. It's a throwback to the 30s. It is what rich people did in the 30s. And now people of color are saying, I like that.
Yep.
It's history.
It's history.
And it's
history.
fabulous, and I
Know
like
your
that.
history. Know your history. Very, very good. Very well said. And it blows my mind. And like I said, I just hate people to just, not know. They talk about things. I don't claim to be an expert on nothing but living. That's it. Okay? If I talk about it, whether I'm right or wrong, just let me know. Put it in the comments below, and she'll let me know.
Oh, by the way,
what it
on
is.
this topic, I have to read off a couple of important comments
Come on.
from folks. Let's see here. Benny Souza, happy birthday!
Oh.
Thank you, Benny Souza. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And I know there were a couple more. MLM21, happy birthday!
Thank you.
Debbie
Thank you
Nito
very-
says happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Like I said,
Varda
make that
Kaur
big
says
six.
happy birthday. Miss Bella says happy birthday.
Thank
So
you.
everyone's wishing you a happy
Thank
birthday,
you all.
John.
Thank you all. I really appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm loving that. By the way, what color are they?
I
It
don't
doesn't-
know.
No, I'm asking. The reason that's the
People.
response I want. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? And they don't know what color they are. But it doesn't freaking matter. Let's all have a good damn time. Shit. You know what I'm saying? And don't be offended because you hear me say a cuss word. Don't say, oh, that black guy, he cusses a lot. Well,
I
damn
do
it.
too. I don't usually do it online. I curse like a sailor.
Yeah.
A very refined sailor, but I swear
he
like a
does.
sailor.
I'm gonna let you guys know something. When people see me, a lot of people see me and they get intimidated because I'm a black guy and I'm kind of a big guy. But I'm nothing but a big teddy bear. I love chilling with people, hanging out with people. I'm gonna tell you something. When I first met this man here, I was terrified. I ain't gonna lie. I was terrified, okay? Because he drove up, he had a
Hearse. I had a
Hearse.
hearse.
He drove up in a Hearse, and he got out of the car the first couple of times, and he looked, and he was walking this distinguished walk, and I looked over at him like I said, damn, I ain't gonna say nothing to that dude, okay? Nothing, because I don't know what the hell's going on, okay? And he walked up, one day I was working on a car outside, and I guess his car had broken down or whatever, and somebody told him that I was a mechanic. And once he walked up on me and he said hello and he started speaking to me, my whole persona of how I felt about him changed. Because what I'm basically trying to say is you cannot judge people on appearance. You cannot do that, because I actually did that to him. And I apologize for that.
No.
No. Let me give you my damn an apology, okay? Because I don't want nobody to think that I am like that towards anyone, because I am not. I have not been. But once he spoke to me,
I can be a little austere, and people say, "Well, I tried to talk to you, and you told me to kick. You just gave me the energy that I needed to kick rocks, and that's really not my intention." Sometimes it's just that I have so much going on, and I exude so much energy outside that when when I come home, I'm just very very quiet, and I just go, oh.
Yeah.
There's so much energy out there. I just have to be kind of. So I do that, and sometimes people look at the way that I'm dressed, and they go, oh, and now he's being very silent and quiet, and oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah. And and one more thing I'd like to say also. Go ahead.
Louise Bacon also says happy birthday.
Louise Bacon?
I think that looks like Louise Bacon to me.
Is it bacon? Because I love bacon. I ain't gonna, girl. I love me some bacon, okay? All that, okay? It's all good. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's a great thing, you know what I'm saying? But I wanted to touch on one more thing that is kind of a racism thing, but it is not a racism thing. It's a religious thing, okay? People have a tendency, because I had a couple people tell me that, okay, he's a Satan. Am I saying it right? Satanist. Okay? I'm a Methodist. But, okay, I am not here to judge him, nor does he judge anybody else for what they believe in. He does not judge, what it is. It's what it is. It's all about knowledge of learning different ways and different things of what they are. The minute I try to judge him for being a Satanist, I feel like this. I have just become a non-Christian. Reason being, my book that I'm supposed to read, the Bible, says I don't have the right to judge, and I don't. So those that judge know what the heck you're talking about before you judge, because the only one supposedly that has the right to judge is the man upstairs. Or down, whichever one you're going for.
Oh,
but at the same time, and like I said, there's no pun intended, no disrespect intended. But he does not put things off on you for what you believe in. Like he said, he's an openly gay man. He doesn't push that off on me. You know what I'm saying? And I don't push off my straightness on him. So, it's all good.
So funny.
But, like I said, I believe in just being people. I believe in having fun. I believe in living life because I only have one life. And I have made it to 60 years old. I am 60 years young today, this very day. And I want to thank both of these lovely young people, Lady Alexandra, Richard-Lael, for inviting me into their home today, even though I live right upstairs.
You can come down anytime.
And I do actually come down. And this chair that I'm sitting, wait, hold on. This chair that I'm sitting in right now, when I come downstairs and I sit in this chair that I am sitting in right now, this chair actually kidnaps me. And I feel so at peace and at rest when I come here. I don't feel like, okay, the devil is taking over my spirit or this and that and the other. He allows my interpretation of what I feel about spiritual beliefs. I'm gonna break it down like that, my way. It's a spiritual belief because if he's a Satanism, that's his spiritual belief. Okay, I am a Christian. That's my spiritual belief. Well, I feel like this: as long as we're all coming together, we are having what they call church. So let's do church every day and get away from this hatred that is out there. And there's a lot of people out there that need to understand that church is a good thing, no matter what sign you claim or what religion you claim. Church is a good thing. Sure. There are some that get it twisted and some that get it wrong. You see what I'm saying? And those that get it wrong, if they are not willing to be open-minded and know where they're going. What?
MLM21 says 60. I would have thought 30s. I think you're lying.
Hey, girl. Thank you.
I don't know that we can add too much more to that because that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone who joined us. Do you have anything else to add before we go?
I think you know what? We gotta go. We gotta celebrate John.
Yes,
but
I just want to say, and I want them to send us a check for this also. I'm going to do a little bit of advertising for Johnsonville's beer brats. Get them. They're delicious. And if you don't have them, I'm sorry, because the ones that we're eating today. That's it, okay? And I want to thank you, and I will let Richard-Lael close the show.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us here on this wonderful, lively, energetic topic. If you would like to support the channel, make certain to check us out on Patreon under the Gentleman's House. You can also, there's Venmo, at Richard-Lael Lillard on what is it? PayPal. On PayPal, RLILLARD6 @gmail.com. It has to be 6 because otherwise it goes to my cousin Randy. I didn't even know I had a cousin Randy until he started getting emails for castings and going, what the hell is this? I don't know what that is. So anyway, rlillard6 @gmail.com on PayPal. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You're already there. You already know it. I appreciate you.
And even though we're black, keep it light.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Goodbye.